Hey everybody, it's Jessica. I'm back for another Pilates tutorial breakdown for you. So in a couple of past videos, we did an exercise called the Swan Prep, and I just kind of basically took you through a real basic version of how to work on pulling your abs up off of the ground while you're supine, while you're laying on your stomach. So we're gonna work on taking this exercise up a notch because where we went with it was really surface, and it really was just about getting your back strong enough to take you to the next level. But the whole exercise, and you could probably Google it or look on Instagram and hashtag Swan Prep or hashtag Swan Dive on Instagram and see all kinds of variations of people doing all kinds of things that you may or may not be able to do right now, and that's okay. My job is to help you get there. So in this tutorial, we're going to work on that, getting us towards that. Maybe I'll even show you what it looks like. Maybe I'll be the person to show you what it looks like. You know what? Anyway, okay, so far we've been lying on our stomach supine with hand over hand, palm over palm onto the mat, forehead to hands, working in neutral pelvis with hip bones on the floor, pubic bone on the floor, and trying to pull our lowest abdominals in between 3 and 9 away from the floor without changing the position of our spine. So let's work on that again. So we're on our stomach, get hand over hand on your mat. I've got my feet flat on the ground. If you can't have your feet flat, I'll move up a little bit so I'm a little bit more in frame. If you can't have your feet laying like flat like this, you can tuck your toes underneath, but eventually be trying to work towards flat feet because that's what we'll be doing in the full exercise. Okay, so in this exercise, I'm pressing my hip bones into the floor. Try to draw your shoulders down and on your back and just pulling your lowest abdominals in and up away from the floor. Ideally, we want heels together, inner thighs together. If you can't, if it feels like pain in your back, go apart with your legs, but try to make sure that your thighs are on the ground, that you're not internally or externally rotated with your legs, okay? So externally, you'd be really splayed out wide. Internal is probably more common, that you'd be kind of laying on the inside of your thighs. But try to make sure you're laying right on top of your thighs, even if your legs are spread apart. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring my inner thighs together because I can, and I'm pulling my abs in. So we've worked on thus far. Inhale, lifting from your bra strap up through the crown of your head, lifting up and holding, pulling your abs away from the floor, holding for 1. Inhale for 2. Exhale, lengthen back down. Let's practice that again. We're going to inhale, curl up from your bra strap up through the crown of your head, pulling your belly button away from the ground, and hold here. Inhale, pull your belly away from the ground a little bit more. Exhale, keep pulling your belly away from the ground. Inhale, keep pulling your belly away from the ground. That's the biggest point. And then exhale, lengthen back out long into your mat. Let's round ourselves back for a child's pose really quick. So whole idea in that is just making sure that you are continuously pulling your belly in. Where you're breathing is not letting your belly expand and fill with air. You're breathing into your back, you're breathing into your ribs, into your side body. You have all this space in which to try to expand your rib cage, expand your lung capacity. Your ribs expand out. They can expand out through your back as well, and through your sides, and through your chest a little bit too. A little bit harder though because we're laying on it. All right, so that's where you're breathing into while you're pulling your abs in. So now let's take it up a little bit. We're going to bring hands underneath your armpits and elbows in close at your sides like little chicken wings, okay? And in this position, we're going to start with, again, our neutral pelvis, pubic bone and hip bones into the floor. Low belly pulled in, hug your heels. We're going to inhale, lift your torso, head and hands come up off the mat. Again, just like before. This time we're going to press your hands back down into that mat and start to curl your spine up a little bit higher. So from your bra strap up through the crown of your head, pulling your belly in. We want to roll those shoulders way down and on your back. Press into your mat, pressing your fingertips forward into that mat and feeling your triceps work a lot. Your ribs are on the floor, but you're still trying to pull your belly in and up. Take a deep inhale here. And then an exhale, lengthen back out long into your mat. So you're going to be feeling a lot of work through your triceps. You're going to feel a lot of work through your shoulder girdle, so the muscles that hold your shoulder blades down and on your back, um, and also through your abs as well. So don't forget about those abs. Let's do a couple more of those just to kind of get into the feel of what we're doing here. So again, heels together, abs in, pubic bone and hip bones, a neutral pelvis. And then we're going to hover your torso, lift your hands. Exhale, press your hands down and forward into that mat. Roll the shoulders down and on your back. Start to curl up through the crown of your head. Keep your rib cage, keep that last rib on the mat. Lengthen your spine. Try not to let those shoulders go up to your ears. Pull your belly in a little bit deeper. Work against gravity here. Take a deep inhale while you're here. Don't stop breathing. Long exhale, lengthen back out long into your mat. Let's do one more of those for fun. So triceps should be on fire right now, okay? So again, hover your torso, lift your hands, press your palms down and forward into the mat and start to curl up. So think from your bra strap, curling up. Don't look up though, because then that compresses your neck and it's not gonna feel good in your back. Lengthen your neck. Imagine we're still lifting your low back bones and trying to go taller this way. So you're like an arrow, you're gonna take off that way, okay? And we're pressing down. You can play around with which way you pull or push. Um, for me, pushing down and forward into that mat is going to get you into those triceps, get you into those shoulders, get you into that shoulder girdle a little bit more. And then exhale, lengthen back down. Round yourself back, give yourself child's pose. And then, so when we're ready to go into the full swan, I will show you what the full swan looks like, okay? We're not going to be doing it anytime soon. Well, maybe not in this workout, but I do want to show you what it looks like. So for the full swan, we're not doing it in the next two workouts, but I just want you to see where we're going with it, okay? So if you've done this exercise before, you may think that it's all about spinal flexion, and it is, but there's a lot that goes into it. So I'm going to show you another exercise actually before I show you the full swan, just so you can kind of get the idea of where we're going. And this is why we won't be doing it in the next couple of workouts that I do with you. Um, Unless you've already done it before and you feel really confident about doing it. And then, of course, that's up to you to add that to your workout. But so there's another exercise in Pilates called swimming. And so what we're trying to get with the swan, what we're trying to get with this is not just a lifting up like cobra, because cobra is all arms and shoulder, but in the swan prep, we're getting thoracic extension. So from your bra strap up through the crown of your head, we want to find a bend in those vertebrae. We don't want to just find a low back bend, because that's not going to feel good and that's not going to get us where we need to go. We need to find curvature through from the middle spine all the way up to your lowest vertebrae up by your neck, okay? So keeping that in mind when you're coming in, that's why I'm saying come from your bra strap up through the crown of your head, and we're trying to find length and extension in the upper back. Okay, so that's what we're doing when we're coming up here. You're feeling it in your arms, you're feeling it in your shoulder girdle, you're feeling it in your abs, but you're also trying to find upper back extension, which is really challenging. So if you could play around with that, and you might want to just kind of see where your hand placement is. Hand placement will help too, to help you find that back extension. What I don't want is when you're coming up to your back extension, you feel it low back, okay? So if you're feeling low back, come a little lower. Try to find the curvature in that middle back. So then there's also this exercise in Pilates called swimming. And this is part of the swan prep. It's a completely different exercise, but this is a part of the Swan Dive. So the muscles that are connected to your back, your arms and your legs are connected to your spinal muscles. And so when we're doing the swan dive, you'll see people get their arms way up. If you don't have good flexibility in your lats and you can't lift your arms very far, you're not going to get very far in your swan dive. If you can't get your legs straight and you can't lift your legs without rotating your hips, you're not going to be able to do the swan dive. So the swimming will prepare us for that exercise. So pressing your hip bones into the floor. We're going to inhale, lift your right arm and your left leg. Lift that left leg as high as you can lift it without letting that hip bone come off the floor. So when I say hip bone, I'm talking about that top hip bone right at the top there, not your pubic bone. And then slowly let everything go back down. Then you lift your other arm and your other leg, keeping that hip bone on the floor, but pressing up through the back of the legs. Lift that arm and feel a stretch through your shoulders, and then bring it back down. Inhale, lift the opposite arm and the opposite leg, and then exhale, bring it back down. Inhale, lift, and exhale, bring it back down. Keep pulling your abs in. Inhale, lift. Hold it here. Exhale, reach the other arm up and other leg up a little higher. Don't let that other arm and leg go to the ground. Then switch. Keep everything hovering. Then switch. Keep everything hovering. And breathe. And breathe. Everything's hovering, and then rest it down. So when you do swimming, you're going to feel your whole back working, your glutes, your arms, your shoulders, all that stuff, okay? So those are all exercises that need to be done before we can drop into our swan dive. So I want to do a swan dive for you, and then you'll know what it looks like, and then we can address it at another time after we get really comfortable with beginner swan prep and swimming. Okay, so in full swan preparation, full swan dive, we're going to press down, hover your hands, lift your torso, press down and forward, curl up. So I'm still curling up through my thoracic, except this time I'm going to come up a little higher. My ribs come off the mat. I'm pulling my belly in and I'm hugging my heels towards each other. From here, rolling those shoulders down and on my back, I'm going to stretch my arms out, drop down into my swan, and then lift my legs and repeat. So I'm here, and reach, and lift, and lift, and lift, and lift, and lift, and lift, and round back. Okay, so hopefully that looked as good as it felt, and it was as clear as it could be about this breakdown. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Otherwise, I will see you on the mat again to do this exercise in our next workout. All right, aloha.